And if so, how did you do it?
Well, because we don't talk ahead of time, and I had no idea what Marilyn was going to say, it's very similar with Marilyn. I handled it differently, but yes, I was able to change something. I have, in my life, I've had several lifetimes in my life of things that I did, and for a decade and a half, I was a recording engineer, and this was in the mid-30s. And in that particular time, you get to the studio early, you stay late, you're there all day. And the food, of course, was coffee, Coca-Cola, and donuts. That's not at the same time. It was either coffee and donuts or Coca-Cola and donuts, depending on what time of the day it was. And then as things got later, we did it again. We did coffee. And so they were always there. And I quickly realized as I got older that I had a weight problem. And I mean, it just kept growing and growing. And through the years, like so many of you, I have taken it off, put it on, or whatever. But that was awful. I just love donuts. I wanted a Coke. So this is the same problem, is that when you're doing your work, or whether it's watching TV or something else, you just hand to mouth and you snack, whatever. I was there, right with Marilyn. And I was able to conquer all of them except the one I did not want to conquer, and that's coffee. I love coffee. I'll always have coffee. Don't write me letters, again, because if they say it's bad for me, I've got articles that say it's good for me. It depends on what year and, and what the medical people are onto at that point in time. Coffee's good for you. If coffee's bad for you, I don't care. I love coffee. I'm always going to have coffee. To my last breath, I hope I'm going to ask the nurse for a cup of coffee. But the Coca-Cola was replaced by sparkling water, something else that was fizzy. And you might say, well, didn't you miss the sugar? Oddly enough, no. It was just the fizziness. So I am a sparkling water guy. And that's what I have in the middle of the day. It's what I have when I'm watching television. And it's the same with Marilyn. That is hand to mouth. Go for the sparkling water. Now, the donuts, what I did was I took a picture of me at my heaviest, which was not flattering, which I hated. In fact, somebody else had taken it from the side. That's often the case. You only see yourself as you see yourself in the mirror until somebody takes another picture of you. And so I printed it out. Now, in those days, just to let you know, we didn't have smartphones, so there was no going to your smartphones. There was actual real photos. Tell me that you remember real photos, please. And so we were there. I had a picture. I pinned it up on my mirror in my home. And so every day I saw me at my heaviest, and pretty soon I realized that donuts were death. They were ugly, they were horrible, I didn't want them anymore. It worked so well. I don't think I've had a donut in 20 years. I mean, I know better. And every time I look at them, as appealing as they might be, that picture comes back. I have replaced the need for donuts with that horrible picture of me looking so bad. And when you're younger, you don't want to look bad. Of course, you don't want to look bad anytime, but it's more you're younger that you're more aware of it. That worked for me. So I'm just letting you know that those were the habits that I cleared. One of them was Marilyn's way. One of them was my way.
That's wonderful that you both had similar stories.
Me.
Yeah.
Do I have donuts?
No.
No.
But you always point out the donuts you like and the holes, the Tim Hortons
I used to love
Canada.
The Tim Horton hole, those. And when we go to the grocery store, I'll point to them and go, I used to have those.
I can't even convince him to have another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want one.
No, don't want a donut.
Now, I want to move to something a little unrelated, but not really. What I want those of you watching to know is that both Marilyn and Lee, they have a similar attribute, and many of them might describe them as workaholics. But I'm aware it's more of a reflection of a passionate drive that is your life purpose. And to the both of them, it never feels like they are working. It just seems that way, where majority of the day, they are on their mission. Marilyn with Adera and Lee with Kryon. So here's my question. What are the things that you enjoy for fun and relaxation outside of your mission to be in service to humanity? So Marilyn, what's your fun and relaxation?
You know, Monica, I was never very good at that. When when you had an application or something and you had to put your hobbies down, it's like, I don't know that I have any hobbies. Although in when COVID hit, I realized that I really enjoyed watching birds. Now I'm not a professional bird watcher. I don't have uh, the equipment to watch birds or anything like that. I just like watching birds. But I think if I were going to, it's so interesting. The thing that I do um, for fun is I I watch movies. And I know that's not, a lot of people will go hiking or things like that. I'm not a big hiker. I watch movies. I really like movies, and I don't know if this is connection to that or not, but I actually many times will take notes on movies because I will get, while I'm watching it, I may not be completely present with the movie because I will get talks or themes or questions that Adironda might be communicating about that movie. I and so those themes will show up later in a double digit broadcast or in a spiritual happy hour or even a weekly message. People are asking for signs, and I often want to take clips of the movies to be able to play later and use that as an example. And sometimes we do, but I really enjoy watching movies, and I love America's Got Talent and shows like that because they're helping people achieve their dreams, which is kind of what I do when I'm working. Is I help people realize that they can have a life that they would love. They can have that, and so I I watch shows. America's Got Talent is my favorite. I'm trying to get into Dancing with the Stars. Once again, it's about helping people achieve a goal, helping people set a goal and then work towards that goal, even though you think in the beginning that they'll never be able to get there. And that's kind of what Adironda does, is to hold people in enough love that they help you realize that you can achieve whatever you set out to do. So that's not really working, but it's kind of play. And I guess a lot of people do reading, and I used to read, but I stopped having the ability to read spiritual books or self-improvement books or anything like that. So I read mystery stories. I know. I feel like this is true confession time here. I do. I read mystery stories, and I read like things that you can figure out who did it and who created, the old mystery energy. And I love, and I'm really pretty good at figuring out who created the crime or who did the crime or who murdered somebody or anything like that. I don't know why. That doesn't have anything to do with Adironda and the Council of Light. It doesn't have anything to do with being a better person. It doesn't have anything to do with that or helping you achieve your goals. So I guess that would be something that I would do in my spare time, which I don't necessarily always have much spare time because I do have a tendency to work quite a bit, but I do love to go to the movies when I am not working. Now you know my secret.
But how fun. And Marilyn, if it helps you, we often watch a lot of murder mystery series and movies. And for example, when we watch Hercules Poirot, Lee will say to me, within the first 2 scenes of the characters, this character did it. And 9 times out of 10, he's correct.
Well, that's because I
do the
understand
same
movie
thing.
making more than the mystery. That they have to present the character in an innocent way in the first 10 minutes in order to make them then have to, and I'll say that probably did, even though you don't even know the story, that's filmmaking.
How fun, though. I love it. So, Lee, I would like to know well, actually, I do know, but I'd like you to share with our audience what are the things you do for fun and relaxation outside of being in service to humanity?
This is not that hard because it really is the same as Marilyn, except that you have the female-male perspective. I love a total and complete escapism into films. And so we don't have time to make appointments and get out every night and eat and do all these things. So it's mostly at home, big set TV, good sound, Netflix or Prime or these kinds of things where we watch first-run movies. This is very common today in my culture, and we do it. I do it in a way that is very, very focused, and that is say, don't talk to me because I'm there. And I don't relate it to helping people either. I mean, Tony Stark and Iron Man don't show up in a crime channel. Whereas Marilyn, in her soft female way and dedication, is probably more apt to then carry that over and figure out how to help people. It's just me. It's me with Iron Man. It's me with the adventure story. It's me with the mystery. And I really get into it. It helps me to wipe away all of the things that I've worked on all day long. It helps to wipe away and put me in a whole different place for a little while. And that to me that escapism is truly my fun, my relaxation. When it's over and when it's done, it's almost like a rejuvenation. I'm ready to work again. So it really is totally black and white to me, and there's no interchange like there would be with Marilyn. I really often think that may be a male-female thing too, and how we're wired. But that's what I do. So so don't send me your movie recommendation, folks. I have too many on my watch list already.
Well, I think for all of us, there's this wonderful thing that happens in storytelling, and I think our archetypes as humans is that we want to have the stories that go through the hero's journey. We want the call to adventure. We want the supernatural powers that come to assist us. And we want to have transformation. And that's why I think so many of us enjoy the movies. It's because of the storytelling component of it. So last question, and it just a short answer, if you can. I want to know what some of the things your inner child loves to do. Marilyn, what's maybe one thing that your inner child really loves?
My inner child. Let's see. I think my inner child loves to laugh and play and do things that one would not expect someone of my age with white hair to do. And I think my inner child kind of loves that. Also, I love puzzles, putting puzzle pieces together or figuring something out and like on the murder mystery story, or I'm a big superhero fan as well. Marvel movies is mine too. So, I love that. Just kind of, just playing, just doing something completely non-metaphysical, playing a game.
Great. So, Lee, what is the one thing that you might share with us about what your inner child loves to do?
As a child, I'm very, very fortunate in so many ways. And where I was born in Southern California is 1 hour from Anaheim. What's in Anaheim? Disneyland. And in 1955, I think that was the year, as I remember, Disneyland had just been built. In fact, we watched it being built on Walt Disney's Wonderful World of Color, or whatever that was called at that Disney program we had. And so there I was with my father, who took me to Disneyland. That stuck. That's what I do. And I still love it there. That's where I want to go. Total and complete release. So much so that I have the 2 boys, and took them to Disneyland as often as we could. They got the Disney bug too. One of them was actually engaged in the park. The other one has a year-long pass. So we're all Disney freaks, and the park is just so much fun. My inner child becomes a child when I'm there.
I love it. And part of why I mention all of this is that for you who are watching, if I was to ask that question of you, what's the one thing, or at least one thing your inner child loves to do, what's your answer? And if you don't have an answer, here's my little challenge, is maybe spend the week finding out what is something that really makes your inner child so happy, carefree, freedom, relaxed and excited. So what we'd like to do now is move to some questions I'd like to ask Adera and Kryon, continuing the theme of this evening's discussion, but having wisdom from beyond the veil come to us. So I ask all of us just now to drop into our heart area, just create space for the love that flows to us 24/7, just to become a little more present now. And this question that I have, that I'll be asking both Adera and Kryon, is what advice do you have for those of us who would like to drop and release negative habits? What advice to drop and release negative habits? We will ask Adera and then go straight to Kryon. Thank you, Adera.
So it is good day to you, huh? So good to see each of you. Understand that you are a radiant beam of light. And as you are that radiant beam of light, all of that negative thinking or negative action or negative habits, all of that energy is contrary to who you are. So that is why we would ask that you shift your awareness, shift your thinking, and yes, shift the habit of negative action. Remember, we have said for many, many years that if you are complaining about something, you're a part of the problem, not a part of the solution. There is a solution to everything. And as that solution is coming in, understand that the act of complaining about it or thinking negatively about it is contrary to who you are. So understand that, as the vessel Marilyn said, your bracelet is exactly what is the first step in replacing negative thoughts, negative action, and negative thinking. Because those are 3 levels of negativity. We know, you know, that whatever you're feeling or whatever you're thinking is what is coming to you. So, and there's a great deal in this world right now that you might be able to point the finger at and say, oh, roll your eyes and blah, 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 in complaint. But that does not serve any purpose. There's good in everything. So the awareness that there is good in everything is really the first step. As the vessel Marilyn said during her answer to the other question, awareness is the key. Awareness is that focus that we would ask you to have when you are thinking negatively yourself or thinking negatively with your friends. You know, sometimes you get into a cranky pants party, huh? You know, a cranky pants party where you get on one subject and, oh yeah, this happened and then that happened and this happened and then that. And before you know it, everybody's in a bad mood. Or you're having another drink, one of the two. But understand that cranky pants party doesn't serve. Now, sometimes it is good to vent something, get it out once, but you can't ever state it again. Sometimes that helps in you being aware of how you are really, truly thinking about a situation. But what we would say is have that awareness, sit back, and then ask yourself, what good can come from this situation? What good can come from this person? What, say you're unhappy with the presidential election. Half the country is unhappy with it and the other half of the country is joyful with it. Who cares? Just think, how can the way things have turned through be turned into a positive response? So you're not getting embroiled in that negativity, or pointing fingers at the other side in their negativity. So understand that good comes from everything. So look for the good in that. Awareness first. Look for the good in that. And then, as the vessel Marilyn and the joy teach, everything is possible. Then take a breath. Take a breath and center your energy so the negativity is not catalyzing, getting bigger and bigger in your world. Instead, you're aware of it. You take a breath and hesitate, and then you make a choice. You make a choice as to how you can respond, react, or experience a situation from a positive avenue. You take a choice, make a choice as to how you reframe something. Say you have been diagnosed with a disease, right? So how do you reframe it? By saying, without lying, saying you don't have the disease, but saying, I've been diagnosed with the disease. You see, and that is just reframing it than saying I have such and such disease, because I have it, owns it. I've been diagnosed with it, keeps it a little separate from you. And know that just by that simple verbiage of reframing something shifts the energy so a different outcome can progress. You see what we say? So in that energy, we just awareness. Be aware of when you have those negative thoughts. Be aware of when you have that focus of having negative people around you. That also is a choice and a habit. When you have the habit of socializing with a tremendous amount of negative conversations or negative individuals, you are the one that is creating that. Why would you do such a thing? Instead, look at them. Send those people love that are being negative around you. Send them love. Hold them in love in your heart. And, it might be time for you to say, "Oop, I've got an appointment here. Excuse me, I'm going to have to go." And then rearrange your time frame so you can indeed disengage from being surrounded by negative thoughts, negative people, negative energies. It is like, it is important for you to be aware when you are having negative thoughts yourself. And so often your negativity has become such a habit that you don't even think about it. It's just the way you've always been. But that's not true. You were born perfect. You were born without that negativity in programming, or you were conceived without that negativity in programming. And so in that energy, you learned from your environment. And that environment shaped your opinion. So talk about going back to your inner child. Go back to those situations and see if you can reframe them so they are the positive person that you were truly destined to be. That is the key. Awareness, take a breath, and then make a different choice and reframe a situation to shift that old habit that really no longer serves our highest good, eh? Does that help, dearest?